that they still lost him. In the final tally, they lost him. And it's interesting where he would have gone, because it seems that Charlie Kirk was basically becoming a Groyper. In the end, what was really left? In 2019, the Groyper War was waged, saying, you are too pro-Israel, you are too pro-legal immigration and liberal on race. You're too liberal on social issues and not strong enough as a traditional Christian.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the perfect way to begin this video. Now, if you haven't watched any of my content before, which most of you probably haven't because I only have 273 subscribers. If you like my commentary, feel free to subscribe, feel free to comment, feel free to, like, do something so the algorithm can do something for me. Because unlike a lot of YouTubers who use Nick Fuentes' clips for clicks and views, I am critical of Nick Fuentes when he's wrong, and I give him credit when he's right. I'm not one of these people that just humps his leg because you're a fanboy, right? Some of y'all are fanboys of Nick. I'm not a fanboy, but I am an honest person. And in this video, I am going to tell you how Charlie Kirk went from Charlie Cook to MAGA champion. And those are not my words. I know he's deceased. I respected Charlie Kirk's work. I have nothing bad to say about him on a personal level. But this video is simply going to expose how Nick Fuentes and his Groyper Army pushed Charlie Kirk to the right. And they refer to him as Charlie Cook when it comes to issues such as Israel, LGBTQ. And I'm going to play some clips of the Groypers bomb rushing some of his events, Charlie Kirk's events, his TPUSA events, where he was supporting LGBTQ. He had an LGBTQ man named Rob Smith, a so-called black conservative. I don't like Rob Smith. I think he's annoying. I think he's obnoxious. I just don't like him, and I don't think he's a good representation of black male conservatism. He's just not. I'm not going to get into the whole LGBT lifestyle too much on this video, but I just want to show some clips of how Charlie Kirk, when he was younger, and we got to remember Charlie Kirk died young. He was only 31 years old. So at the time of these clips that I'm going to play, he was in his 20s. And, Charlie Kirk was accosted. He was lambasted. He was excoriated by Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes been going after this man for years. And of course, Nick Fuentes did the right thing and showed, respect for Charlie Kirk's life being taken. He offered his condolences. He said it was wrong. Nick Fuentes never advocated for Charlie Kirk's death. He just didn't agree with he just didn't agree with Charlie Kirk on his stances regarding some of these issues, especially Israel. And we also saw Charlie Kirk move to the right. He became more pro-America and less pro-Israel towards the end of his life. So without further ado, we're going to get into some of these clips and I'm going to react, and that's going to be the video. Now, before I let this series of video clips play, I just want to add a little context. This first couple of clips are going to be when Charlie Kirk was hosting a TPUSA event. He had the openly gay so-called conservative Rob Smith, the black gay conservative, on stage with him. And there were people from the Groyper Army, Nick Fuentes' little gang. They basically were challenging Charlie Kirk on his stance on Israel. And of course, they're going to challenge him really hard on LGBTQ. And I do agree with them on both of these positions, but they helped do the dirty work in pushing Charlie Kirk to the right, because these are young Gen Z white males, and they're basically Charlie Kirk's peer group. Even though Charlie Kirk was a millennial by age, he had a lot of influence over Gen Z, just like Nick Fuentes has a lot of influence over Gen Z white males. And these humiliating interruptions and questions really bothered Charlie Kirk. And this is a really big reason why we saw a hard shift to the right from Charlie Kirk when the so-called Groyper Wars were going on, when Nick Fuentes' army was going to these TPUSA events. So I just wanted to add a little context before I let the video clip play.
So my question is, if the president were to enact a policy that would completely benefit the United States and her citizens, but to the detriment of Israel, would you support it, yes or no?
Well, that's a false choice. Thank you for being here. I get a lot of questions about Israel in the last week. I will not apologize for my defense of our greatest ally in the Middle East. I will not apologize for the fact that I defend Israel against its critics both domestically and abroad. And I'm always just very puzzled at times when I get the amount of attention that is on the only democracy in the Middle East, the only place where all three monotheistic religions are allowed to peacefully visit their religious sites, the place that has respect for human rights, the place that the Knesset has representation for all three monotheistic religions, something that does not exist all throughout the Middle East.
Not to mention the only pro-gay place in the Middle East.
Now that rhetoric that you heard years ago from Charlie Kirk is a far cry from what Charlie Kirk was saying about Israel up until his demise, and I'll play that clip in a second. And then, of course, the super proud to be gay so-called black conservative Rob Smith said, and it's also the only pro-gay place in the Middle East. Who cares? But here's what Charlie Kirk said about the Israel lobby and Jewish donors a few weeks before his untimely demise.
And Jewish donors, they have a lot of explaining to do, a lot of decoupling to do, because Jewish donors have been the #1 funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies, cultural institutions, and nonprofits. This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews, and they're like, what on earth happened? And it's not just the colleges. It's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it. It's like time for you guys to wake up and say no more. Draw a line in the sand. I don't care if you hate me.
By the way.
Somebody outside a protester was asking about the term culture war. It's got a long history, started late 1800s, Otto von Bismarck, Kulturkampf. In the late 1990s, mid-1990s, it was reclaimed by conservatives, one of those being E. Michael Jones, who actually started this magazine, Culture Wars magazine, and because of his fantastic work, we now understand... Thank you, give it up. Because of E. Michael Jones' groundbreaking work, we now understand that sexual liberation is political control. It's a form of political control. And you have multiple times advocated on behalf of accepting homosexuality, accepting homosexual acts as normative in the conservative movement. How does anal sex help us win the culture war?
I'm going to let the gay man answer
wait a minute. So can I ask you a question? Can you have the balls to ask the gay man on the stage that question and don't defer to him? Ask me that question. I will answer you that question. I'm going to answer you. You already asked the question, so I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to ask you that question. This is America. This is the greatest freaking nation in the world. We realize that America is great because we have Western values. We realize that, let me finish, dude. We realize that gays and lesbians are able to contribute to American society in the same way that everybody else is. And let me tell you, when you continue doing that, okay, you realize that we are here. We are able to do everything. And let me tell you something as well. I served in the military, right? I served 5 years. I did an Iraq tour. What's up?
How does homosexual sex help us win the culture war?
Who said homosexual sex helps you win the culture war?
That's the question that I'm asking. Why are you promoting it?
Well, it's a BS question, and you know it is. It's a question that is not it's not a good faith question.
So I'm going to be
honest. It's not a good faith question.
Rob, honestly, I don't care what two consenting adults do. So that's the
whole thing.
And your hyper focus on it is kind of weird. Thanks for being here.
You seem to be really interested in gay sex. I'm pretty sure if you're into that, you can go find somebody to do it with. I don't know, maybe. Next question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
My question is largely directed to Mr. Kirk because you were raised as a conservative. Part of the issue I see here is, what's your name, Rob?
Yeah.
So you're saying, you're behind the times, this isn't conservative. Well, we don't want centrists in the conservative movement. We want to retain our core values.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
We don't want drag.
But here's the thing. It's not about what you want, because here's the thing. The beauty about social media the beauty about social media is that I can be me and I can bring myself to the table. And it's not about what you want, it's about what the people want. And if there are enough people in this movement that say, hey, Rob is cool, he's gay, whatever, it really doesn't matter what you think. You can say whatever you want and you can believe whatever you want to believe.
Let me ask my question.
But it's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. And it's not going to deplatform me.
So my question is, again, it's directed to Mr. Kirk because he was raised as a conservative. As the guy before has said, you've advocated for homosexuality, said that there's a place for the gay agenda within the conservative movement. My question is, and you're also comfortable with transgenders and cross-dressers, I understand. So my question is there any point where conservatives should take a moral stance on Christian morality, or should we abandon it altogether? So in other words, what is what is your brand of conservatism doing to actually conserve Christian morality? If we're ceding to the left on transgender, gay rights, gay marriage, we don't want that in conservatism.
So you don't want him in the conservative movement? I just want to be very clear. Let's just be... Rob.
So you don't want me in the movement?
No.
Not if it waters down.
Hold on a sec.
No, we don't.
I want to be very clear.
We don't need to compromise our fundamental beliefs.
Hold on a sec. You're bringing some very charged language. I'm going to try to calm down the temperature in the room, so I can try to rationally understand an irrational position.
Why should we
Let me finish.
compromise our fundamental beliefs?
Let me finish. So, I'm a Christian. I believe the Bible's the greatest book ever to exist in the history of the world. And I believe Rob Smith has decency and dignity as an individual in the United States of America. Hold on a second. We're not a theocracy. We never have been.
And you know what? And wait a minute. Let me hop in here. Hold on, because I'm in it. He's addressing me. The thing that I don't understand. Well, I'm addressing you. How about that?
You don't even have the courage to address the gay man on stage.
So the problem that I have with as somebody that is a gay Christian, and this is the problem that I have, because my relationship with God and coming back into the church over the past year and a half is one of the greatest gifts that has been given to me in terms of being in this movement. So my question to everybody who tries to say that, oh, you shouldn't be, Christian because you're gay. Why are you trying to turn people away from God? So if you love God, and Christianity is so right, because I do love God, so why would you be trying to turn me away? Why would you be trying to turn me away from God?
God said.
So we're going to get to
another thing, and one thing that I don't do,
question.
And one thing that I don't do is that there is no man that is of this earth that is going to tell me what God has for me and how much God loves me. So goodbye. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Next question. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a whole lot to unpack in that exchange with Rob Smith, as well as Charlie Kirk and a couple of the Groyper warriors, I guess you can call them. The argument, the pushback against Charlie Kirk and Rob Smith was over, homosexuality, being in the movement, Rob Smith being gay, and Charlie Kirk pushing that lifestyle. And Charlie Kirk wasn't necessarily pushing it, but Charlie Kirk wasn't, he was platforming Rob Smith. He was a friend of Rob Smith. Now, up until Charlie Kirk's unfortunate passing last month, we haven't really seen Charlie Kirk with Rob Smith, and his position on gay marriage had evolved. And he said that he believes marriage is between one man and one woman, and I'll play that clip in a second. But as a Christian conservative myself, I'm a millennial. I'm an 80s baby, so I'm older than the Groypers. I'm not Gen Z. I'm millennial. I'm the generation ahead of you guys. But I was raised in the Deep South. I'm from Georgia. Grew up going to church. I personally think homosexuality is wrong. I think it's morally evil because it's against God. And if you're a true Christian, Rob Smith talks about his relationship with God. When you truly have a relationship with God and you truly know him, the things that God hates, you will hate. The things that God loves, you will love. When you love somebody, you will not do something deliberately to hurt them. openly gay people who celebrate their homosexuality, the problem is they are literally openly rebelling against God. That's not love. That's rebellion. That's disobedience. And I understand that it's a difficult battle that some of them are dealing with because it's a fleshly, carnal desire. It's a lustful desire. Now, me as a heterosexual, I struggle with lust sometimes myself when it comes to women. But God literally says in the Bible that we're not supposed to have sex outside of marriage. It's called fornication. So the Bible is clear. It says the idolater, the fornicator, the drunkard, the homosexual, none of us will inherit the kingdom of God. He says, I made them male and female. In the book of Leviticus, it says that it's an abomination. Man shall not lie with mankind. We all know, if you know the Bible, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know these scriptures, go look them up. Just type in Google, what does the Bible say about homosexuality? It's all over the Bible. And it's many different verses that will explain to you the Christian position. And before I go on to the next clip, I just want to say this right here. Not all Republicans are Christian. Not all Republicans are truly conservative. And that was clearly obvious in that last clip I just played. And like I said, I have no hatred towards homosexual people. God says to love hate the sin, but love the sinner. And that's how God feels. God loves all of us, but he doesn't love our sin. That's why Christ had to come and pay the ultimate price to save us from our sin, because God's standards are perfection. We can't meet God's standards. We just can't, because we're human. We were born into sin, right? Sin cannot exist in the presence of a holy God. He's a holy God, and he detests sin. It's just what it is. So I have more respect for the homosexual who admits that they know their lifestyle is wrong and they're fighting that demon versus that says, I'm going to live my life. This is who I am. No, if you're a true Christian, now, and I'm speaking just for people that claim to be gay Christians. Now, if you're a gay atheist or you're a member of a different faith, then I'm not really addressing you. But if you're a gay Christian, you call yourself a gay Christian, I have more respect for you if you admit that you know what you're doing is wrong and that you're trying to get out of that lifestyle versus celebrating it and saying you're going to continue doing it. This is who I am. That is not who you are in the eyes of the Lord. God did not make you gay, period. And I'm going to leave it right there, and I'm going to play the next couple of clips because I don't want to make the video too long.
Charlie Kirk, if you didn't know, by the way, supports gay marriage and, even worse, gay adoption and gay surrogacy.
I think it's cool. You're married. I think it's great. And you should have all the same tax benefits. Adopt children. It's great. No. Right? But
I feel the same way about you.
Well, it's fine. It's like, whatever.
Which might be why he's the Republican establishment's favorite poster boy for conservatism. And don't give me this crap about not punching right, because some of the things that he stands for are just pure wrong.
Okay, so that was Charlie Kirk basically admitting that he thought that gay marriage was okay and you should get the same tax benefits, gay adoption and all that. And shout out to Mark Dice. He's the one that I downloaded that clip from, obviously. And I didn't even know that clip existed. It's so many different clips of Charlie Kirk. I'll never be able to find them all. None of us will, because he had so much content. And you know, like I said, his position did evolve. That's back when he was a little bit younger. And I'm not here to demonize Charlie Kirk for having that position when he was young. He was, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to say he was misguided, or some people in Nick Fuentes' Groyper camp believe that they believe that Charlie Kirk was a grifter. They believe that Charlie Kirk wasn't a true conservative. And I do believe that as he got older, he evolved and became more conservative. And maybe perhaps the Groypers played a bigger role than people care to admit. But if you're a true man of God, I just don't see how you could have ever supported those issues to begin with. I've never supported homosexuality. Okay? I've never supported gay adoption. I've never supported gay marriage. I've never supported all these liberal abortion. I don't support none of that. Like that's God. My relationship with God is what drives my conservatism. God is conservative. Like, you can't be a true Christian and not be conservative. Like the Groypers were saying, what are you conserving? And here's Charlie Kirk's more recent position on gay marriage.
Many of you probably have a temperament like I do on the gay or lesbian issue. Look, first of all, I believe marriage is one man, one woman. I'm very clear about that, okay? But I think many of you probably have a built-in temperament. I'm not here to over-police your personal life if you're an adult. I don't agree with it. I don't believe it's right. But live and let live. That doesn't exist. Live and let live is dead. It's live and let us rule is what we live under now. It's live and give me power to come after your children. And if you don't agree with me, and if you don't allow me to come after your kids, you're a bigot.
So you see right there, that was one of the more recent, exchanges Charlie Kirk had when it came to LGBTQ. And he started talking about how they were coming after the children, which is true. It's like the old saying goes, once you squeeze the toothpaste out of the tube, you can't get it back in. You give these people an inch, they take a mile. These are not very good people. All the drag queen story time and giving kids puberty blockers, hormone blockers, kids saying they're gender fluid and all this gay propaganda in these kids' books. And we know there is an attempt to do things to children that right now are illegal. And y'all know what I'm trying to say. They basically want to make the P word pedo, and I'll leave it right there. That's what they want. They want that legalized. That's what they really do want. Not the majority of people on the left, but it's a segment of people on the left that are trying to figure out how do we usher that in. So Charlie Kirk evolved to the right place as he got older, right? And I strongly believe that the Groypers definitely, when they were humiliating him at his events, that hurt Charlie Kirk. It hurt his pride. It hurt his ego. And don't believe for 1 minute he didn't go home and think about what they were saying to him at those events. And at one point, Charlie Kirk was not even a Trump supporter, because when 2016 was around, he was talking about how Trump was disrespecting Ted Cruz's wife. And I was a Cruiser myself. I voted for Ted Cruz in the 2016 primary. And during the 2016 election, I didn't vote for Trump. I actually voted Republican up and down the ticket, but I skipped over the presidency part because I wasn't ready to vote for Trump. I voted for all the Republican Senate races in my state. Any Republican I voted for, but I didn't vote for the presidential part because I didn't want to vote for Trump. But in 2020 I did. In 2024 I did.
What was it? A week ago, he publicly retweeted an image that went directly after the spouse of Senator Ted Cruz. I don't understand how he thinks he's going to bring the party together when in an interview with CNN he keeps on calling Ted Cruz Lion Ted. I don't think that's exactly the uniter that you want. And look, last night it was laughable, his appearance on Chris Matthews. Are you kidding me? This is the guy that's going to bring the party together that says women should be punished because they pursued an abortion. This guy is I think he's self-destructing in front of us. You see it in the polling in Wisconsin. You see it in the polling in California. I would say right now it's a 50-50 chance that Donald Trump walks out of Cleveland with the nomination. And there's a lot of forces at B that are pushing back against it.
John Lambert, you're with the Students for Trump. What's your opinion?
My apologies for the blurriness of that video clip, but I don't know how that clip got to be so blurry, but I've been sitting on some of these clips for quite some time. And I was contemplating whether or not I should do this video because I didn't want to call him Charlie Kirk in the title, but that's what his nickname was by the Groyper Army. They called him Charlie Kirk. And I believe that Nick Fuentes was still referring to him as Charlie Kirk right up until his demise. Like I said, Nick Fuentes has really let the whole world know how he felt about Charlie Kirk. And like I said, he did, of course, show respect towards Charlie Kirk after his unfortunate assassination, which is a good thing. He put his grievances with Charlie Kirk aside and did the right thing. But like I said, his Groyper Army really did make an impact on Charlie Kirk's ideology and his positions on some of these issues. Here's one more Groyper encounter, and I'm going to start wrapping the video up because we're over 20 minutes now, and I don't want to make it too long, like I said.
Yo, come over here. Get the TV set up. Get the TV. We're going to get a Nick question. You think he's a Trump supporter? Oh, wow, look at this. What a pathetic weasel. These people are the lowest people in the world. The secret weapon, yeah, the secret weapon. But wait. They're going to come
it's
2
really
hours
quiet.
late.
Do you have a microphone?
They're going to answer questions for 20 minutes, and then they're going to pull this shit. Incredible.
Time for Donald Trump to move over. Donald Trump's now for
Nick Fuentes!
This guy is a
Groyper Griffin. Awesome. Can we get a theme check?
Coward!
So good. Coward, yeah, get out of here. Chanted right out. Decisive victory. We snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. They thought they had us. That's the best you have? A hidden television? A clip from November 2015? You think you can beat me? You can't beat the Groypers. We're not going anywhere, Charlie. So good, so good. What a keynote moment. Get out of here, coward! Coward!
All right, guys, so that's gonna be it for this video. As you can see, Charlie Kirk had a lot of, more liberal, I'm not even gonna say leftist, but more liberal, not so conservative positions years past. And Nick Fuentes and his Groyper Army, they stayed on him. And of course, as time went on, they stopped showing up to the TPUSA events. I think the TPUSA security and people that were, deciding who gets in and who doesn't get in, they start kind of shutting down the Groypers from coming in and all that. But when Charlie Kirk was a much smaller operation, when TPUSA was in its earlier stages, that's when they were able to kind of infiltrate these events and, bomb rush the microphone and, call Charlie Kirk out or challenge Charlie Kirk's position on some of his, positions. So, it was a very, very interesting, set of circumstances that led to Charlie Kirk, moving forward as he got more popular and his positions became more right wing, in nature. Of course, there were other positions that Charlie Kirk had that evolved as well, such as on immigration. I didn't play any of those clips. I think Charlie Kirk, of course, wanted to clamp down on immigration. Nick Fuentes and his Groyper Army definitely want to make sure America remains a majority white population. And if that's going to happen, that's going to require the white race getting their birth rates up. I think that all American citizens need to get our birth rates up. Then we won't have to worry about importing people from third world countries. But that's another story for another day. And I just wanted to offer my commentary on the evolution of Charlie Kirk over the years, which was definitely influenced by the Groyper nation, whether you want to admit it or not. They definitely played a role, because these were, embarrassing moments for Charlie Kirk, and these are his peers. And there's a big, big, big frenzy by the powers that be and the powers that should not be to get Gen Z. They want to get Gen Z in their folds because Gen Z is the future. Gen Z will really drive America's policies and, the direction of this nation after the boomers are out of power and they start passing away, which they already are passing away. They're getting old. And then, of course, there's Gen X, and then there's Millennial, then there's Gen Z. So that's the way life works, One generation rules and has power until they can't have power no more, then it's the next man up. And you're starting to see more and more Gen Xers take power, more and more Millennials take power. Not so many Gen Zers yet, but as Gen Z gets older, they're going to start taking power. There are some Gen Z people in power right now at the local, state, and federal level, maybe. I don't know if there are any major congressmen or congresswomen that are Gen Z as of yet, but I know we got plenty of millennials in Congress on both sides of the aisle, both Democrat and Republicans. But Gen Z's coming around, and it's imperative that the Gen Z vote and the Gen Z support is won if you want your side to be victorious. And Donald Trump has done a pretty good job at capturing the hearts of a lot of Gen Z. But, some of Nick Fuentes' crew, they don't think Donald Trump is doing a great job as far as being a true America First ambassador. And I can agree that, I can agree that Donald Trump has done some things that are not America First. The bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities, of course, his stance on immigration, not saying that he's not doing a good job with shutting down the border and deportations, but he's really not deporting that many people compared to how many were let in up under Joe Biden. And also the failure to release the Epstein files. Donald Trump is super duper 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 pro-Israel, and it's several other critiques we can offer of Donald Trump. So I understand their position on Mr. Trump. I hope what Trump has shown us is that one man is not going to save this country. It's going to take a group effort, and it's going to take strong men, I think, of all demographics: white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Arab. I don't think this is going to be able to be a movement that is exclusively perpetrated by the white race alone, because it's a lot of white people who are not going to fight, who are afraid, who are compromised, who are bought and paid for, who are liberal, right? A lot of white men are not conservative. So I think your numbers need to be stronger, and you're stronger when you have a bigger group versus a smaller group. But I can ramble on about this stuff for days and days and days. I just wanted to touch on those, examples of what happened over the years with the Groypers and the TPUSA and Charlie Kirk. And rest in peace to Charlie. Thank y'all for watching. Y'all make sure y'all comment, like, share, follow, all the good stuff. Peace.